everybody from Panama. This is Randy Hilarski with Crypto Daily. Today I'm talking to Sonny from Forus International out of South Africa. I've got Chris Lee of CoinApps, and I've got James Jr. of Flashcoin. And these guys got some really big news for the community today. They just told me, look, we got to get on a call and let's get this news out there to the world. As you know, those of us who write for Crypto Daily, we have access to Google News, and we get the crypto news out as soon as we publish. So, you know, Sonny, what's going on down there in South Africa?
Well, basically what's happening is blockchain's going mainstream. I mean, that's the bottom line. We've been working on this project now for 10 years. Working on a global ecosystem to bring, crypto blockchain technology to the mainstream world of banking and finance. So it's a project that I said that we've been working on for nearly 10 years now. Started in South Africa and then moved globally to the US, Caribbean, rest of Africa and Asia. And essentially what we're doing is we're replacing paper money with cryptocurrency. Fiat-based stable coins in each country, which then provide the familiarity that traders are used to trading in their own currency, but we're just taking it digital. And I think what makes this so amazing is that South Africa is leading the way, where we still have a mass of our population, probably 20 million people who sit outside of the banking system. And, there was no real way to cost effectively get to that market and service them with banking and access to capital. And then obviously blockchain came along and that's the game changer. So, essentially we're rolling out banking without banks. Gives us the opportunity to roll out free banking, no fees, as well as interest-free production loans and working capital finance for, small businesses and farmers. And what's so amazing about it is this thing has really taken flight over the last couple of months. A couple of months ago, I met Chris and James and got introduced to the amazing technology that CoinApp have. CoinApp are the developers of the very successful community coin Flashcoin. So, when we saw that they had this proven technology that was, lightning fast, could be run at virtually no cost, next to nothing, we said here's the answer that we've been looking for. So we've combined this
Sonny, let me hold on a second. Sonny, let's talk about Flashcoin really quick, because I've been a user of Flash, I've been a holder of Flash, I have the Flash wallet on my phone. What was it about Flash that really attracted you to follow with CoinApps?
It's difficult to say with James and Chris on the line, but the first thing actually was the team, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you're in the banking space, when you're rolling out solutions that are this mission critical, and when you're taking on the establishment and disrupting, the staid world of banking, you need to know that you're going into battle with the right team. And so that was the first thing. I've been around the industry a while. And James, Chris stand out head and shoulders, both in terms of, their knowledge, their ability to deliver a working solution that's, rolling out successfully in the community. But then also about the attitude. I think one of the big problems with the cartels is they're used to a win-lose model. And, coming from a community perspective that Flashcoin comes from, we're all just looking to solve a global problem. So the first thing undoubtedly was the team. That's always key. Then secondly, the app is just great. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, nothing more, nothing less. It works, it's fast, it's intuitive. I love also the human telemachine concept. So I think they're just, in terms of rolling this out, because you must understand that we're rolling this out in rural areas in South Africa where people have, limited levels of IT sophistication. We needed something that would work there. That would, it also needs to be fancy enough and have the features to work in, the fancy business districts of Sandton and Johannesburg, but we also needed something that could also, work in the rural areas. So, and then having a proven solution. You meet in this business a lot of people who talk a lot of, you can fill in your own colloquial word there.
Hey, we've all been around a while. I've been in Bitcoin since 2014, same as James, and started learning in 2011. And we've seen a lot of charlatans come and go.
Precisely. So, when you've got guys with real quality and a real quality solution, and also commitment to doing the right thing, because a lot of the people who do get a bit of traction start to get tempted into shortcuts or et cetera, et cetera. So they're very, very excited. It's the team, it's the technology, and we're on our way.
All right. So James, tell us a little bit. We kind of talked about the Flashcoin app. You want to give us about some of the updates, what's going on with the app, and why Sonny and his team are so interested?
Okay, sure. Well, the app, as you know, and thanks for that plug there, Sonny, about the HTM. The human teller machine is been gaining a lot of traction as you probably opened it up recently. And I think the first time I showed you, Randy, the HTM, there was maybe four little rings of Flashcoin. There was 2 or 3 in Vancouver, 1 in California, which was Chris Kitsy, our founder, and then you down there in Panama. And we're kind of saying we're going for it, right? So there's literally hundreds and hundreds and possibly thousands of people, and there's businesses now too. If you look at in Nigeria in particular, where I've been spending quite a bit of effort, we've got over 3,000 vendors and merchants that are accepting Flashcoin in Nigeria. And you mentioned Sierra Leone. We've got a fellow, his name is Mustafa. He's over there. He's actually got a booth set up at this big winter festival that they're doing over there. And he's signing up wallet users like crazy. Because of that feature and others, of course, the speed and the convenience of Flash was created for microtransactions and for remittance. The Akiti State University, where Flash sponsored a hackathon back in the summer, has just been going nuts here recently. And our relationship with CrowdForce, which is in turn all those businesses, what we're going to see here with the Forus relationship too is a lot of businesses, a lot of business owners, and the like. So I could go on with Flash, but this is really about CoinApps and FORUS. And thanks, Randy, for letting me throw the plug in there. Yeah,
no problem. So let's bring on Chris really quick and let Chris Lee talk about what's going on with CoinApps and how CoinApps is going to be working with Forus International. And when I say Forus, it's FORUS.
Yeah.
And,
thanks, guys.
And Chris, before you do that, Sonny, tell them what Forus stands for.
Yeah. So I like to pronounce it for us because it's not for them. It's for us, but it's actually an acronym, and it stands for free, open, real-time, ubiquitous, and secure. So when we started out, we said, if you want to create a banking platform that's going to work for the future, you need to be able to do all of those things. So on the free side, we make our money through advertising revenue and through working capital finance. We charge 3% administration fee instead of charging interest. In terms of the open platform, and I think that's the really cool thing with Flash, all of that technology, the CoinApp, the open APIs, developers will be able to, start to incorporate the wallet into their own applications. And I think that's where a lot of growth is going to come from. I like to think of us as like the Android of banking. The real-time, obviously, real-time settlement is key. In the traditional banking systems, particularly here in Africa, can take up to 3 days to get your money. So real-time was absolutely essential. Ubiquitous, that's the challenge, the challenge of a two-sided payment market where you need to be everywhere. You need to have enough customers, enough merchants. Otherwise, you're not going to get traction. So that's really the key for us. It's our biggest secret sauce. We've done some really clever things to ensure that we have a community of 100 million people that we can roll out to in the first 12 months. Wow. So we've been working on large member organizations. Yeah, that's the kind of traction you need if you're going to take on the likes of Visa and MasterCard. Anything less, and it's never going to work. So that was the hard part, getting that global traction. And then the S is secure, the Visa, MasterCard, the old banking rails. I always laugh when you hear like an exchange has been hacked. If we had to do an article every time a bank got hacked or money got stolen, there would be no room for any other articles. Crypto technology, blockchain technology is way more secure than anything that the banks are doing. And if done right, it's way. It's infinitely more secure than banking. So if you put all of those things together, you've got something that can provide a solution. Because there are really two markets. There's the unbanked, who clearly is a market, but then there's the rest of the world who are called badly banked. And probably, the worst banked of all are the merchants. Everybody's tired of paying 3% interchange fees, but you still got to pick up the fraud costs. You don't get settled immediately. You have all these chargeback costs and risks. Well, blockchain solves that. So a big part of our go-to-market strategy, certainly in South Africa, is rolling out to retailers. And what we did was we integrated to all the big box retailers so that you can swipe your card at any of the retail stores out there, and that's linked to the blockchain, which I think is also pretty much a world first to have somebody doing it on this kind of scale. Awesome. And then we're doing some really exciting things. We're going to be announcing, well, I guess I'm announcing it here, but there'll be a lot of stuff in the press coming out about an initiative where we're launching a global student cooperative bank.
Awesome.
Using crypto. So it's really, once you get into the space and you've got a technology like Flashcoin and the wallets provided by CoinApp, you can go for global scale. And banking doesn't really have global scale. If you look at a company like JP Morgan, they've got 90 million customers. Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't get out of bed for 90 million customers, right? So we're looking at the global marketplace and saying there's a gap in the market for somebody to become an international leader in the regulated crypto space. So that's where we're playing. I always tell the story about Willie Sutton, the bank robber. They said, "Hey, Willie, why do you keep robbing banks?" And he said, "Because that's where they keep the money."
All right, Sonny, let's let Chris tell us about what's going on with CoinApps and how CoinApps is going to help you and help Forus get this rollout to these, what did you say? How many people?
100 million.
My God.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Chris, roll with that one, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, Sonny. Thanks for the pressure. Anyway, so I think Sonny's been really eloquent in terms of what we bring to the table. We've developed this, as you know, Randy. We developed this technology over the last 3 years. We've basically rolled it out through Flash, testing it, testing the speed, testing the pressure points, and now, the next stage of CoinApps development is looking at how else we can use this technology. And James was the one that said, "Hey, why don't we look at developing this technology for stable coins, because that's where we also saw the opportunity." And as a result, because I'm from Africa, I was able to leverage some of the contacts that I have both in Africa and other parts of the Middle East. And as a result, we were introduced to Sonny and his project, and we're extremely excited about that. Sonny represents everything that we were looking for in a partner. He understood the market. He had the government contacts. He has a great team. He's got connections to the community, and that's what we intend to roll with to roll out our technology in Africa.
All right. So what does that have to do with the government, though? Could you, what role do they play?
Well, that gets back to the comment about working with the banks. In just about every country you go to, the banks operate by license of the government. And that gives them their cartel status. That gives them their special status. You need a license to have a bank. Now, the reasons for that in the old days were because of the risks of settlement during the day when you've got interbank clearing. But with blockchain and real-time settlement, that systemic risk that one bank can take out the whole banking system goes away. So what this allows to happen is smaller banks can now participate in the banking system because it's become too consolidated at the top, which leads to a lack of competition. So, you know, the big banks, you saw how quickly JP Morgan jumped on Libra and shut it down. But actually, the Visa and MasterCard network's made up of 35,000 banks. And Visa and MasterCard is a way for them to make money, right? But the smaller banks, with the fraud and the compliance costs becoming so high, a lot of them are no longer able to service Visa and MasterCard profitably. So I said that if we want to get real liquidity and real traction in the payments and banking space, you have to work with the banks. If you want to work with the banks, you have to work with the central bank who regulates the banks. So one of the things that the South African regulator recognized was the need for blockchain to bring about financial inclusion. Not many people know this, but South Africa's central bank, the South African Reserve Bank, is one of the leading countries in terms of testing blockchain technology for interbank settlement. So you have this dynamic where there's a certain sector of the banking cartel that's making all the money, trying to hold on to the old ways, and then you've got, you know, the rest of the market. So a very important part of that is the regulator. And in developing countries, the single biggest threat with blockchain technology like Bitcoin is capital flight. Everybody's using this technology to get money out the country. And in developing countries, most of these countries have rules about what capital can flow. So they're very, very nervous that all the money is going to seep out the country as people take their assets out digitally. By working with the central bank, we give them the power of blockchain technology, but we still geolocate our currency so that people can't send it out the country. And if you did that, countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, the economies would immediately collapse. So it's very important that you address the needs of the central bank. You know, you don't want to fight them. They're too big, they're too powerful, and they are there for a reason. Somebody does need to control monetary policy, control inflation, monetary flows. So I think it's very arrogant to sit and think that, you know, whatever coin you're going to have is going to beat all of that. I said, no, that's not the way to approach it. They actually need to come along, and we need to bring the banks with us. We've brought them along kicking and screaming, but in South Africa, because the disparity now, you know, South Africa is the most unequal country in the world in terms of the gap between rich and poor. So now we can the commercial banks can no longer keep us out the market. And in conjunction with government, small business department, we got consensus and agreement that we could use our platform for the cooperative banking industry, in other words, for the credit unions. So in South Africa, we're creating our own payment platform based on cryptocurrency, based on blockchain. It's a world first for such a large and sophisticated economy, but it's the way to go. I mean, if you look at just the cost savings and the benefits to the consumer of using blockchain, we're very confident that once we get one country going, this is going to be a bit like Uber. And every country is going to want this. You know, more and more countries are issuing stable coins, sovereign-backed fiat currency. More and more talking about it. You see China's about to do it. So we're embracing it, and we're helping the banks get there. Because once it becomes a little bit mainstream, I believe it's going to cause a major disruption, and everybody's going to have to come this route.
So tell me, what is the name of the stablecoin? Have you guys come up with a name for it yet?
Yes, so it's the ZARt, which is, you know, South African ZAR, the rand, and then the T being tethered. So we have two versions of it. We have the wholesale version, which is ERC20 based. So that's for the banks to trade, and the central bank will have the keys. And then based on the deposits that we have, we issue the Flashcoin blockchain, and that's hosted in a PCI, a payments card industry compliant environment run by one of the biggest payment processors in Africa, who ensures that, you know, we've got the uptime and that, you know, the thing behaves the way that it should, regardless of the various loads at peak times, etc. So what we've done is we put in, you know, something industrial strength, so that it can really, you know, do the job of replacing cash money, paper money in South Africa.
So which one is going to be in the Flash wallet, or are they both going to be in the Flash wallet?
No, it's not actually going to be a Flash wallet at all, Randy. It's going to be the ZARt wallet and the MahalaX wallet.
Okay, so they're going to be white labeled.
White label, that's correct, Randy.
Okay, great, cool.
It's our own blockchain. So it's based on Flash, but it's separate. We will also have Flash in the wallet. You know, we definitely committed to the community coin and particularly some of the initiatives in the student space. We then also have our own equity token, which is MahalaX, which all of our customers get. It's how we manage our cooperative ownership of the platform. So that'll be in the wallet as well. And then the ZARt, which you can then exchange at any time for paper money or for a credit in your traditional banking system.
Very cool, guys. I mean, this is really a first. I really, James told me a little bit what was going on, but I didn't realize it was this deep. Seriously.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work goes into this because, for example, what we're doing there are two towns in the Eastern Cape that we're taking cashless. So these will be the first major areas in Africa that are cashless. We're hoping to make Port Elizabeth the first cashless city in Africa. And that means that the minibus taxis are converting, the university students are converting. So we'll have a whole city that's going to be completely digital. And then we're hoping that that's going to attract various technology companies to open an office there, because now you have an environment where you can test end-to-end digital. So for IoT, for smart cities, you know, if you just think you take the paper money out of it, now people can do business with someone other than the person standing in front of them. So what that's going to do in terms of trade for small businesses and artists and music artists, and you know, it's a whole new world. It's what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running these as test sites, inviting people from various countries to come and have a look and see how we implement it, how we roll it out. And a big part of this, I mean, the real reason we actually started it, I never wanted to create a banking platform. We only developed a banking platform because we needed it to be able to finance small businesses. Because what we're able to do is we give a guy's got a small retail shop, we give him a card where he can go and purchase at the wholesaler. He can't go and spend that money on a new car or, you know, school fees. He can only go and buy goods at the wholesaler that he can then sell at his store. And that makes sure that he's going to be successful and that the money gets spent on the right thing. And then when customers come and pay with the platform, we recover the loan. So I couldn't do that with Visa and MasterCard. I couldn't do that with the banking system. It was too expensive, too inflexible, too insecure. Didn't work if there was no internet reception. We have an offline mode. So we created a platform that works for everybody. And that's the really exciting part, because the next step is we're going to be pumping liquidity into that. So we're now starting a roadshow where we're raising money to provide loans to these farmers. And we're going to have billions of rands going through the platform. And that's what's going to create the liquidity and bring it into the mainstream. Because, you know, what sits behind banking, what a lot of people don't realize, cash that is just a small part of the money supply. A very, very tiny part, 3% maybe in any country is floating around in cash. The rest is in, you know, bonds and equities. So we're taking that next step where we're actually going to be raising bonds using crypto technology.
All right.
Which will then create the liquidity.
All right, you guys, you know, we got a few minutes here. This is a lot to take in. I'm going to have to rewatch the video just to write an article. It's a lot of information. So when do you think this is going to roll out? How long until you see this operational? And before we go, I want everyone to tell us where we can see Forus International and CoinApps, and tell us where we can check out more information.
So it's rolling out now. We're in the thick of it, rolling out in various cities across South Africa. We also have communities that we've been working with in Asia, in the US, in the Caribbean. We're rolling it out all simultaneously. So I think more and more people will start to see it coming into the mainstream as more and more people start to use it. And it'll start showing up at a retailer or online somewhere near you.
Very cool. Panama doesn't have a central bank, so a country like Panama, what will we just piggyback off another one, another country?
No. What we can do is we can create a private version of that because of the blockchain technology. So you don't have to. It doesn't have to be restricted to banks anymore. It can be mobile operators, retailers, whoever wants to use this digital currency and participate and can invest in the flow. It'll vary from country to country. It depends really where the liquidity comes from in each country. But I think countries like Panama can play a regional role, and perhaps one could start underwriting currencies. For example, in the Caribbean, remittances is a real challenge. So we're working with the central bank in Saint Martin and Curacao. So I think there are a lot of opportunities, particularly in that region where you've got these small countries. For example, when Hurricane Irma hit Saint Martin, there were no banks. ATMs were blown away. If we'd already been up and running, they would have, had no disruption. So I think there are lots of opportunities. If you send me an invite, I'll come to Panama and let's meet the stakeholders.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, gentlemen. First, Sonny, tell us where people can learn more about Forus International. Then Chris and James, you guys talk about CoinApps.
If you go to forusfoundation.com, you can find all the links there. We're on Facebook, Forus Global Digital Exchange. We're obviously Twitter, Instagram, all the usual. But yeah, if you just global Forus, or if you just Google Forus, Sonny Fisher, you'll see we've been around the block, and we're coming soon to a store near you.
Very cool. Thank you, Sonny.
Okay, I'll go with the Flashcoin plug, and thank you, Sonny, for that wonderful explanation of everything, and in particularly how the loans can be paid back through these micro loans through the businesses, because we can get into another call later, Randy, about the features of the Flash app. But as you already know, we have a feature built in the app called sharing, where you can put a percentage of all the spending automatically into as many as 10 different accounts. So if loans or community projects are being done, you can actually allocate, say, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4% of all your spending, and it'll automatically, as fast as the transaction occurs, it'll get paid back. So if you want to pay back the loan to Sonny, you can put a percentage of that 3% to him. You can put the other percent to your tithing. You can put another percentage of that 3% to donations for your favorite charities. It's endless. But if you want to reach Flashcoin, that's simple. You just go to flashcoin.io. That's www.flashcoin.io. We have a Discord channel. We have a Telegram channel. We're not very fond of Facebook, so because of some of the regulations and stuff like that. But we are definitely very popular on Twitter, and of course, you can always reach me at I'm probably one of the easiest to find guys in the world. And Chris Lee from CoinApps is. I'll let Chris explain where that's from.
All right, thanks.
So Randy, CoinApps is based in Vancouver. We have a website, coinapps.ca. We don't do too much in terms of retail advertising or anything like that on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. But we do have our contact information on coinapps.ca. And James and I are always available as well if anybody needed to know anything about CoinApps. Our focus is on the client like Forus and, the central banks and issuers of the stablecoin like the commercial banks. So, for us, it's more about, reaching the clients who are going to be using our stablecoin.
So like Chris said, it's not about them, it's for us.
Yeah, yeah.
International Inc.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So now I'm going to have to get to work, and I'm going to have to write an article about this. I'm very excited. So thank you. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, James. Have a great day. And today's Bitcoin's birthday. It's January 3rd.
That's right. Yeah, but the guys who do CoinFest are having a big decentralized party downtown today at 5 and 6 o'clock. So yeah, it is Bitcoin's birthday. Happy birthday, Bitcoin.
All right. Ciao, everybody.
Take care, guys. Bye.